Be used to is used with a gerund form. So that means a verb with an ing ending. So you would say be used to and then an ing verb. The meaning of be used to is used for something you are already familiar with. Be used to expresses something that you are in the habit of doing, that you are accustomed to, and that you accept as normal. You are used to it. Be used to is followed by a noun or a gerund. So we use be used to with a noun or a gerund. For example, be used to plus a noun would be they are used to the cold. The cold is the noun. They're used to the cold. Be used to plus a gerund. I don't mind walking. I'm used to walking a lot. Walking is the verb walk plus the ing form, so that's the gerund. To be used to plus the gerund. Here's another example. She's from the country, so she isn't used to living in a city. You'll notice that this is the negative form, and it's in the present tense. The verb be used to, the verb be is the verb that you conjugate. In this case, you put it in the present tense. Is used to, but because it's a negative, you would say isn't used to. She's from the country, so she isn't used to living in a city. Used to can be used with a gerund, and it can be used with a noun. And here's an example of camping, which is both a gerund and a noun. In this particular example, we are used to camping. We go every year. To get used to. To get used to also goes with a gerund, just like be used to goes with a gerund. And get used to means for something that you become accustomed to. So to get used to something, the key word here is get, which means become. So it's not something that you have achieved yet, but it's in progress. You are getting used to something. It's in progress. So we use it for something that you are becoming accustomed to. That means something that you are getting used to. To get used to expresses something that you become accustomed to gradually. These things don't happen overnight. They happen gradually. Get used to is followed by a noun or a gerund, just like be used to is. For example, get used to plus a noun would look like this. They are getting used to the mountains. They don't have mountains at home, but now they are getting used to the mountains. They see them in Victoria every day, and they are becoming accustomed to the mountains. Get used to plus a gerund, another example would be, I'm getting used to living in Victoria. I'm becoming accustomed to living in Victoria. And again, we have the verb live plus the ing, which is the gerund form. I'm getting used to living in Victoria. Get used to plus a noun, for example, would be he will soon get used to the rain. The rain is the noun. And you notice here I use the future, he will, because get used to is the verb, and like all verbs, it can be conjugated. You can use the present, the future, etc. So here is an example of it with the future. He will soon get used to the rain. Be used to and get used to can be used with many verb tenses, like I said in the previous slide. So for example, be used to plus a gerund. I'm used to eating vegetables now. I eat them every day. That's the present tense. I'm used to is the present tense. Eating is the gerund, which is in the ing form. So I'm used to eating vegetables now. I eat them every day. Get used to plus a gerund in the present would be present continuous because it's in progress. So I'm getting used to eating vegetables now. I try to eat them every day. It's gradually happening. So I'm gradually becoming used to eating vegetables, but I'm not used to it yet. So I have to use the verb get. I'm getting used to eating vegetables now. I try to eat them every day. Be used to plus a gerund. An example would be my parents fought a lot. I was used to hearing them yell at each other. This is in the past tense. I was used to hearing them yell at each other. Or you could use get used to in the past tense as well. So my parents fought a lot. I got used to hearing them yell at each other. For example, Be used to plus a gerund. After a year of living in Vancouver, you will be used to driving fast. For example, get used to plus a gerund. When you move to Vancouver, you will get used to driving fast. For example, be used to plus the gerund. If I were rich, I would be used to eating in expensive restaurants. This would be a conditional sentence. For example, get used to plus a gerund. If I won the lottery, I could get used to being rich. This is a conditional sentence. Negative, you simply add not. Be used to plus a gerund. For example, before I lived in Italy, I wasn't used to eating pasta. Another way to make it negative is to simply add never. Get used to plus a gerund. For example, even though I lived in Italy, I never got used to eating pasta. Pronunciation. Be used to and get used to are pronounced used to. I'm used to being rich. I'm used to being rich. I could get used to being rich. I could get used to being rich. Pop quiz. What's the difference? I used to live in Brazil. I am used to living in Brazil. I got used to living in Brazil. What's the difference? I used to live in Brazil. It means I no longer live in Brazil. I am used to living in Brazil. I'm used to living in Brazil. It is now familiar and no longer strange to me. I got used to living in Brazil. Living in Brazil has become familiar and normal to me. Let's practice. Choose between used to, be used to, and get used to for the following blanks in the following 4 sentences. I come from a small village, so I will never living in a city. Number 2, when I was a child, I ride my bike in the summer. Number 3, when you are a mother, you have to not having any free time. And number 4, I'm a mailman. I walking long distances. Used to, be used to, or get used to. Number 1, I come from a small village, so I will never get used to living in a city. Number 2, when I was a child, I used to ride my bike in the summer. Number 3, when you are a mother, you have to get used to not having any free time. And number 4, I'm a postal worker. I'm used to walking long distances. Discussion time. Take turns asking and answering these questions. Questions. What are you used to in Victoria? Or what are you used to in Canada? What are you getting used to in Victoria? What haven't you got used to yet in Victoria? Or what haven't you gotten used to yet in Canada? Don't forget to review. The end.